So I like women. Like if you had the same mutual interest as me, I feel like I would naturally become sexually attracted to you as well.
Yeah.
So I don't see a scenario where it makes sense to ever become or be a woman's friend.
What's up, everybody? This is Ahmed,
And this is Luffy.
and this is the Brotherly Love Podcast, episode 2.
Yes.
Very exciting.
Yes, it is.
Very, very exciting. How are you?
I'm good, Ahmed. How are you doing today?
I'm all right. It's productive, but it's like a lazy productive. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're just kind of just chilling, but you're also doing like slight things here and there.
Yeah,
Nothing
you're
too crazy.
cruising on 65.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I took a mean nap before I came here. It was great. I needed it.
Yeah, siesta style.
Yeah.
Well, let's hop right in, right?
Yeah, of course, of course.
Get the people going. So, you actually had a couple topics that we could address for today.
Yes, yes.
Why don't you introduce the topic?
All right. So before we even really started this podcast, I had a list of ideas of what I wanted to talk about. But this one is it's a very, very interesting topic because this conversation can go on and on for as long as possible, and people will have a lot of different opinions on what it means, what are the rules, whatever it is. But the question at hand is, can men and women be only friends?
Mm. Good
Can
question.
they only be friends? Like just strictly, there's nothing romantic or intimate with them. It's just friends.
Why don't you start off and give me your take?
It's hard. I honestly have been debating this with myself for about a year. Like, what does this mean? Right? This is my take, right? If, let's say, for instance, I have a friend, a female friend, right? Been friends with her for about 3 or 4 years or whatever it is. And if we've never hit a road, like a mark on the road of our friendship where we both admitted, like, oh yeah, I liked you or I like you, whatever it is, then there's no like boundaries of what could happen, could potentially happen. Like, in a sense, it's like if I was single, right? And she was single, and we've been friends for like 4 years or so, you can't deny the possibility or even the realization that there is sexual tension between each person. It doesn't matter if you're a guy and a guy, a girl and a girl, a guy and a girl. It doesn't matter. Like there's always going to be some kind of sexual tension if it's not addressed, right?
But so sorry to cut you off.
no,
So
good.
you think that inherently there's sexual tension that exists between men and women?
Yes.
Even if you're not physically attracted to someone, there could still be a level of sexual
Yes. Before you even answer it, yes.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
yes, there is.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think men and women can be friends, but let's say, for instance, you guys did have an intimate moment, whatever it is, but then you both addressed as like, this isn't the right move, then I think it can be a genuine good friendship. But if there hasn't been a mark like that, I'm not saying like, because I see it all the time, like on TikTok. They're part of my generation, Gen Z or whatever, but they're like the younger part of it. A lot of them are insecure, where they're like, "Oh, she's talking to another dude. Oh my god, she cheating on me." You know what I'm saying? I'm like, bro, come on, man. Like, stop tripping. Like, they're just talking, whatever it is, right? That's none of your business. But like, I think it's a thing you just have to accept. Like, men in general with women are gonna have some kind of sexual tension, whether it's addressed or it's not. Like, I can be cool with a girl, but in the back of both of our minds, we might be thinking like, would they? I don't know. You just don't want to address it though. So that's kind of what I think.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
I largely agree. I want to say like 95% I agree. The thing that men and women fundamentally can't be friends. We can be friendly, but we can't be friends. There's always, it's almost like I'm constantly holding you to some degree at arm's length.
So you don't have any female friends?
No,
Really?
no.
Hmm.
A lot of women that I'm friendly with, but none that I would consider my friend. In the same way that I would consider a lot of I guess, the guys or men in my life as friends.
Hmm.
And I guess for me, a big reason is I've never found a situation in which a friendship could naturally develop with a woman.
Okay.
So I've never really found myself in a situation where I'm not attracted to her, she's not attracted to me,
Mm-hmm.
but we still have these mutual interests and things that can kind of keep us connected. The
Mm-hmm.
difficulty is that I feel like is that if you do have mutual interest or things that keep you connected. So I like talking with my friends. We chat almost every day. We talk about the stock market and real estate and what's happening on Congress and sports and
Mm-hmm.
whatever. That's what kind of keeps us connected. We have these mutual interests. If I have a mutual interest, and that's what makes me attracted to my friends, right?
Okay.
That's what, like, the magnetism between us is from that mutual interest. If that same situation were to happen with a woman, well, I'm a heterosexual male.
Yeah.
So I like women. Like, if you had the same mutual interest as me, I feel like I would naturally become sexually attracted to you as well.
Yeah.
So I don't see a scenario where it makes sense to ever become or be a woman's friend.
That's a good way of thinking about it. I remember I was watching Dave Chappelle and like I think it was Dave Chappelle. He was pretty much saying no. It was Chris Rock. It was Chris Rock, and he was saying pretty much like no dude ever looks at a girl and like, oh, she's so fine. She's so fine. I want to make her my friend. Right? And I was like, dang, he just exposed like all the dudes. Like, yeah, like it makes sense, right? Like, I think every dude, a heterosexual dude, right? If he has a friend that's a girl, like I told you, at least once, has thought about, oh, I would sleep with that person. Yeah, I can see that, right? Because it's natural. A lot of times girls are like, that's creep. Why would you say that? That's creepy. It's like, that's biological sense.
It's like, meanwhile, the whole time they're thinking of a bunch of dudes while they're
Yeah.
touching themselves.
Yeah. Like it's not awkward, it's not weird, like it's natural for that to happen. Like there's going to become a point in time in your friendship where you realize, "Oh, I'm kind of attracted to this person." Not like, "Oh, you're attractive," but like you said, attracted. Like I like the values that you have, yada yada yada. And biologically it's like, "All right, well, I want to have sex." Right? But like I said, it could potentially happen, it could not happen, whatever it is. But for me, because I've experienced this, it's like the friendship becomes a lot easier once
Mm.
like that has happened because you both like will realize, all right, well, one, will this continue? Two, if it doesn't continue, all right, now we know, and you just move on and you don't feel any like weird way about it. You're just like, all right, cool.
Yeah, I think that there definitely is you alluded to something earlier, and it's that people who end up in friendships with the opposite sex or the sex that they're attracted to, or whatever,
Yeah.
however you want to phrase it, they, for the most part, are settling. And there's a level of cognitive dissonance that happens because they settle into a friendship even though they want something more.
Hmm.
And it could be a friends with benefit scenario that they want, or it could be a, like, full on romantic relationship,
Yeah.
that they potentially want, but they settle into a friendship. And I noticed this with some women that I had as friends. I noticed that either I was settling for a friendship with them when really I wanted something more,
Ah.
or I noticed that they had settled for a friendship with me, or a friendly relationship, or how,
When they wanted more.
when I could tell that they obviously wanted something more. Why are you laughing?
Okay, so like I think this just happens with me personally. Like I'll just be chilling, I'll be doing whatever I'm doing, right? On my purpose, whatever. And then something will strike my mind. I'm like, yo, there was a lot of girls attracted to me. And you don't realize it. So when you said like, oh, girls were settling for the friendship, whatever, when you knew there was more, I was like, yeah,
Well,
there's a couple of those.
I think especially for women, actually, it's probably even more difficult to get out of quote unquote the friend zone because how often do women shoot their shot
Not
at
many.
guys?
Yeah, not much.
It doesn't happen that often because you know the we've talked about this, the concept of being a man is or playing the masculine role is in taking leadership and initiative, and
Hmm.
like especially as it pertains to the relationship. So if you're not taking the initiative, she, as a woman, tends to lean towards her femininity and
Yes.
wants you, as the man, to lean into your masculinity and take initiative by establishing the friendship as a relationship. So they'll just chill.
They're just
And
kind of waiting.
yeah, they're just kind of waiting and like, is this dude ever gonna man up and actually ask me out or
I
kiss
think
me
the
or blah
reason
blah
why
blah?
like dudes don't shoot their shot is like, well, there's a couple things.
Rejection.
Nah, I feel like dudes are kind of like okay with rejection.
Really?
Maybe in terms of the dudes I know.
Yeah, I was gonna say like maybe
Yeah.
we're okay kind of with it,
Yeah,
but
'cause it's like it happens.
I
Like
think a
okay,
lot of guys are actually like have a huge fear of rejection.
okay,
That's probably why they don't approach most women. But I mean, let me.
yeah.
I
And
want to
then
hear
I
you.
was also gonna say because like, well, one, it could be like fear of rejection, and then two, it's like if you ask the question and she doesn't feel the same way, that friendship is kind of over in a
Mm,
weird way. Like it might, they can still say, oh yeah, we're friends, we're still friends, da, 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 but the dynamic of it is no longer friends. It's kind of like
and
acquaintances.
do you know why? It's because you were never friends in the first place. Like that's
Oh
my
yeah,
that's
because
my whole point is that
okay,
you were never originally friends. We were always playing this sort of social dance with each other, and you're trying to feel it out, and you're trying to kind of like Disney movie your way into a romantic relationship where it's like one night you guys are just hanging out watching a movie, and she falls asleep in your arms, and like no, and then it turns from a
okay,
friendship into a relationship, and like maybe
okay,
yeah, maybe that happens, but in my experience, what's at least the way I do it is a lot more abrupt. It's like, hey, do you want to go out? Because you have to kind of clearly establish the difference between this is a friendly or professional interaction, and this
yeah.
is this is me approaching you in this frame.
Yeah, I think I've learned that in terms like you said, it is kind of like a social dance in a way. Like when you're trying to fill somebody out, uh, I've kind of learned, especially like last semester, where it's just like just kind of be not bold, but just kind of be upfront, and you be very surprised the amount of like I'm not saying oh I haven't gotten a no, you know what I'm saying? I've definitely gotten no's, but like the amount of yeses definitely outweighs the amount of no's. Like, if you just like, "Hey, I want this." They're like, "Oh, yeah, that's cool." I'm like, "Uh, what?" That's all I have to say?
Yeah,
And it's
you
like,
just had to
yeah,
say it because going back to that point is most women just want a guy to take initiative.
initiative.
They
Yeah.
want the guy to be the leader in the relationship. And the issue is that a lot of guys, because of some other social things that I'm sure we'll talk about, like there's a
Oh.
reason that they're being suppressed from taking on the leadership role. There's a reason that their
Mhm.
natural inclination of, hey, as a man, I have these masculine tendencies, and one of those tendencies is to be a leader, but I'm not able to exert it in the relationship realm of my life because there's certain social pressures that worked against me. For instance, yes, there is like fear, but how of rejection, but how deep can that fear of rejection go? Like, where does it stem from? So, for instance, if there's if we live in a society where women shame men for approaching them in public,
Mhm.
then men aren't going to be likely to approach women in public. And on one hand, it's like, yes, this does cut down on harassment in certain forms. And of course, for real, 80, 90 I don't even know of the way that men approach women is pretty crude. It's not.
Yeah.
It's devoid of all class or anything like that. But that also strips away the opportunity, just generally speaking, for a man that you might fancy to approach, in public, because now he may, instead of it just being the fear of rejection, it could be the fear of, I could get rejected and have a lawsuit, end up in jail, and end up getting flamed on Twitter, and end up on CNN.
I'm so glad you brought this up, because I knew you said like we're gonna talk about other things. That's why I said, oh, because I was like, I know what he's talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about. That was one of the also big prominent fears, and it's like, I think personally, like, I'm all for women's empowerment and making sure that women aren't assaulted and they make sure they're not raped or anything like that, because it's a serious issue. Like, it happens very, very often, and it becomes to the point where they're not protected. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm really here for the movement of like, stop sexual harassment, stop sexual assault and rape. Completely get it. Like, that makes sense. But like, because like any movement, some things can become extreme in that group, and then that becomes like kind of an issue in a way. So with that, it's like, especially what I've seen like last year, like, if you even try to, I'm not saying this is like for all women, but if you try to approach some of them or like slide in their DMs, whatever, they will screenshot that, they will expose you, they'll get hundreds and thousands of retweets. If, like you said, this actually brings up a great point. This actually happened in a lot of Virginia colleges. So recently, which is crazy to me. And like, so NSU, like Norfolk State University, VSU, Virginia State University, VCU, GMU, like all the schools, someone started and it's like, insert this college here, GMU, VCU, whatever, rapist page.
What?
Well, lie, bro. So I know it's crazy, right? So in the page, they're like, send anonymous DMs of sexual assaulters,
oh man,
or rapists, or whoever, right? These dudes are being put on blast, bro. On blast. And I'm just sitting there with like Brandon like showed me Maya showed me, and then Brandon showed it to me. I was like, yo, what? Like, this is wild. And I'm not saying that some of these dudes didn't do something, you know what I'm saying? They might have. But and it becomes an irrational fear for some dudes. It's like, yo, am I going to be put on that page?
Oh, man.
You know what I'm saying? Like, am I, like, I don't think I've done anything wrong, right? But someone could have took it a completely different way, and then I'm put on the page, and then my name is ostracized. I'm done. I'm outcasted.
Do you know that Pharrell and Robin Thicke song, Blurred Lines?
Yeah.
like that's, bro, this is exactly what it's reminding me of. I'm like, yo,
it was
like,
crazy.
There's, I don't know, and you're right. There's, from the jump, there's a lot of, like I said in the beginning, there's a lot of the way that men interact with women is very crude a lot of the times, like, a lot of guys don't know how to shoot their shot properly.
Yeah, they're like really disrespectful.
Exactly. They have no idea how to, like, they think of, women are this different species I couldn't possibly understand. And it's like, yes, there are fundamental differences, but they're human beings at the end of the day.
Same
like,
as us.
Yeah, like, if you can't understand 90% of, like, that's all you're trying to do. You don't need to understand 100% of. You just need to understand 90% and you're good, And that's with everyone. I don't need to agree with you on everything. I just need to agree with you on about like 90% of things. Like, make sure we get our values straight.
Yeah.
But in like this regard, right, it's like a lot of people don't know the difference between sexual misconduct and rape, and a lot of men perform sexual misconduct. Like, they just do something sexually that's wrong, and like, there is a wide range of that, right?
Yeah.
But it's not just men. Like, let's be completely honest, right? I get catcalled all the time. I get assaulted sexually, technically, right? Technically, I'm being sexually assaulted. Women grabbing my ass, women touching me, doing whatever, unwanted, right? So
Yeah.
it's sexual assault technically, or I mean, I don't know the definitions. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm
Yeah.
being touched unwanted sexually,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And in those situations, I completely understand how women feels, especially because I'm more than capable of handling 99% of women. Like physically, if they were to aggress towards me, like 99% of the time, it wouldn't be an issue for me to handle. And the same can't be said, in the
For women.
yeah, for women. So like I completely understand that there's that element of it as well. But sexual misconduct is a huge issue.
Hmm.
Rape is another completely different level. Like that is, the old lady at the Dollar General grabbing my ass is one thing.
Has that happened?
Yes.
Whoa, buddy. I have a story for you then. Go ahead. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's cool. I know I got the yams, you know what I'm saying?
You call them yams?
I do my squats, man.
All right, bro. All right.
Anyways. So that's one thing. Rape is something completely different, and it's difficult because on one hand, I understand that it's difficult for someone who's had something like that happen to them
Hmm.
to go and talk about it with a police officer or write a police report and then go to court or testify. That's a lot. I completely get it. Now, does that mean that submitting them and to an anonymous Instagram page is the correct course of action? No. No, like it's not right to go the way of public shaming. I'm not a huge fan of, I guess, like public shaming or
Like what Twitter does.
yeah, like outing people in public, or if someone, for instance, is like a racist, they're like, oh, they got caught saying the N-word, let's have them fired from their job. And
They get stripped of everything.
I'm just like, why? I'm like, what is the benefit? It's the same thing was like, okay, like, yeah, you outed and shamed the rapist, but like, is that how we define justice? I mean, and I'm not saying you should necessarily believe in the legal system like that we've created as a society. I understand why vigilante like justice exists, but is that vigilant? Like, I don't, that's not my definition of justice, isn't to go like, oh, I'm on an Instagram page, with other people who raped people, and that's
Yeah.
my form of justice for raping someone.
Yeah.
That's it seems it's
um,
almost, to me, it's almost in the same realm of like awareness,
Okay.
like in terms of like, oh, let's go aware people about breast cancer. It's like, oh, you chose the easiest job, like you're awareing me so that I can do something. Like,
Yeah.
you know
What I've noticed a lot is, well, there's two things. One, I've noticed a lot, like, to out someone, like, let's say, for instance, a racist. I remember at GMU, there is these senior nurses. They're about to graduate. They did a very bad mistake.
Mm.
They uploaded, Freaky Friday by Lil Dicky and Chris Brown.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's the part where Chris Brown's like, "What up, my," you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
They specifically shot that part, and it's like 5 white girls, and they're screaming it. What up, Mott? What up, Mott? I'm like, oh, like, so I saw it, and I was like, yeah, like I can't even defend you. You know what I'm saying?
Where
You
did they post it?
like on some social media site,
Like,
Snapchat. They post
oh,
on they post on Snapchat, and someone screen recorded it, uploaded it on Twitter, viral, viral, bro.
wow.
So GMU took away their degrees.
What? Are you serious?
Wallahi.
Because they said nigga.
Yes.
The word I just said
I'm pretty
it.
sure.
I just said it. Who's about to take my degree?
Because you're black.
Sorry,
But,
go ahead.
no, so like they took away, I think they took away like the degree or like something like that. And I saw it, and then a lot of people at Black Mason community like even agreed like that's not enough, right? But no, right? So
That's not enough.
hold on before it gets bad. So I asked them, I was like, what do you mean by not enough, right? Like then some of them were like they shouldn't have taken away their degrees. Like there's no point, like we're talking about, to ostracize somebody and to just kick them out and be like, oh, our community's good now. That doesn't, they're still racist. You know what I'm saying? Like they're still going to be doing the exact same kind of stuff. That's not going to really affect them. Maybe their degree or whatever. But some of them on the other end were like, that's not enough. They need to be expelled. yada yada yada, and I'm looking at this comment thread. It's
Mhm.
like 200, 300 comments, and everyone's just going in. And that's why at that moment I was like, okay, I'm not talking to any of you guys, because you guys are obviously not thinking on the long term spectrum. But back to what you're saying in terms of sexual harassment, whatever. I remember it was crazy. I left the studio one night, and I was I was on a different level.
Mhm.
I, I was like, I'm gonna go to Wawa and I'm gonna get a sandwich. So I got a sandwich and a drink, whatever. I get my stuff and I'm going out. And I parked my car on the like west side of the entrance, whatever. And I'm about to walk there. This old lady in her car, like easily 50 plus. It's not old, but an older lady that's 50 plus. And she like honked her horn and she's like, "What's up, sweetie?" And I was like, and she's like, "Yeah, you." I was like, "Whoa, buddy." I didn't expect that. So I just went in my car and I was just thinking, I was like, "This is how girls feel?" Like that felt terrible.
Ding ding ding.
Yeah.
I'm sure all the women listening right now
You're
are
like,
like,
"You
yes,
think?"
exactly. Like,
Exactly. That's what we go through. Like I understand, I understand. But it was just crazy to experience that because, like I said, like it lets you go into the realm of a woman and what they go through on the daily. Like I know a lot of girls that have been like sexually assaulted or like, I've been saying like touched when they don't want to be touched, things like that.
Mm,
And that also brings me to my next thing. It's like parties,
mm.
like twerk parties and stuff.
I like the fact that you called them twerk parties.
Because you have to be specific. You have to be very like. There's a difference between like a kickback, right?
Uh-huh.
Kickback is like a good 10 friends. You know what I'm saying? Just getting together. A party is like, it's just like a little, hey, a little bit of that, not too much. A twerk party is strictly to go. I always say this.
We can call them dance clubs.
Dance clubs, whatever you want to call them. I always say this for two reasons. I always say these two reasons that people go to parties. You're either trying to find someone to hook up with, or you're trying to no, three reasons. You're either trying to hook up with somebody, you're trying to turn up, or you're trying to do all three, or all two, whatever. Right? There's no other reason why you're going to this party. So with twerk parties, after like freshman year, I stopped going to them because I started to notice things. Like when you're on that different level, on different influence, whatever it is, like you will see and peep out things that's like, yo, that's creepy as hell. If you think about it, right? Like, okay, girls are dancing, whatever, they're throwing it back. Cool. I get it, right? What a dude shouldn't do is instinctively be like, I'm gonna go behind her, right? It's like, I also understand it on the guy's perspective. It's like, oh, I want to get some ass tonight. You know what I'm saying? Like, but at the same time, it's like, that doesn't invite you. That doesn't mean it's an invitation. You know what I'm saying? But like you said, you have to kind of feel it out. Like if I'm dancing with my homies, right, whatever it is, and there's a girl throwing it back literally right next to me, right? If that happens, I'll catch it to see what happens. If she's cool with it, khalas, we're good, But if she like, you're like, all right, and you just keep it going. You keep it pushing. But there's guys that specifically go there just to get twerks. Like 90% of them. That's why I stopped going.
Well, okay, 90% of the women are there for what?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
100%.
Yeah, let's be general about it. It's why are people there? It's not just why are these guys there, right?
True.
I gotta stick up for my men. Like we're not all trash.
No. We're not all trash. We're not all trash.
But even though that was my specialty back in the day, I had the little left foot, right foot movement. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know what you're saying. I honestly want to go out with you and Wad.
Really?
One day, just like wall out. Just have a good time.
I'm down.
Yeah.
That's past me, but I'm down.
Yeah.
Every once in a.
Every once in a while.
Yeah. But yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm not. I'm not a club type person. I'm not. Yeah. That's not my scene. But you're right. I spent a lot of time in that environment though. But. And I was also on another level when I was in those environments, but that did give me like you said, a great perspective, because I did spend a lot of time, like kind of from a National Geographic, that's
you're observing.
Yeah. That's almost what I did a lot of times is I'd find like a really dope spot in the corner or something like that with a little elevation or something, just look out and like peep over everyone. I loved like certain venues because I can get a seat or a table or something like high up. and I can just kind of look out over people. I don't need to do anything besides chill. I like the environment. That's why I used to go. You know, there was a time I also partook and, you know, was, but anyways, and yeah, one of the things you notice is that, you know, it is, but that's what the environment breeds. It's like, yeah, the dudes are doing some things that are quite questionable, but the women are allowing them to.
Yeah.
You know, like a guy wouldn't grab a woman in a club if it didn't work 50% of the time before. You know? Point. And to lay the point that, or to even, you know, dive deeper into the point that the environment allows it, like that's what the culture of the, like that environment is what happens the second the lights come on at the club. Yo, scatter. It's like skirt. Like,
everyone scatters.
Like you're like I'm gone. You know, like it's like the person, you could have been dancing with someone intimately for 15 minutes. Those lights come on. You don't know them. You turn away as if you don't even know. No, well, you know, like, and it that proves to you that it's like, it's the anonymity of the moment fueled by the culture of the environment. That allows people to do that. But what is that environment? And that's like, once you realize this, it's like, that's why that environment became unattractive to me. Like, unless I was going just with my group of friends that few times, like if I went out with you.
And just having a good time.
And just having a good time. But I'm having a good time with you. It's, you know, being in the environment as opposed to I'm going to take advantage of that environment, as opposed, because that environment doesn't exist anywhere else. I can't be walking down the street at 4 p.m. and just grab a girl and like expect her to start dancing on me.
I think you bring a good point. Like the reason why guys do it is because women allow it. It's similar to like I think Steve Harvey was talking about it one time. Sometimes I watch him, but the girl is like, yeah, like the guy does this, that, da 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 da. He doesn't take me seriously, and he was like, honey, like the reason why he does it is because you allow it. And every woman's like, I was like, yeah, say it, Steve. So no, I 100% agree that like it allows that to happen in that kind of environment, because it's like people want to get loose, you want to dance, and I get it. But I feel like after a certain amount of time, you kind of get over it, like a little bit. It was funny you said like you dance with that one person like for whatever as long, and then everyone just scatters. I was always thinking in my head like the reason why people scatter is because like you kind of just don't want to be like seen at what you were doing.
I agree.
Which I'm like, I get, but it's like you have to also understand the things you do in the dark will come to the light. As cliche as that sounds, like it's gonna come to the light. But it was funny when you said dancing 15 minutes. Because I went to kickback once, and this one girl was dancing on me for a smooth 30 minutes, bro. I was like, my knees hurt.
Her knees must have been on fire, bro.
She was going.
She was putting in work.
She was 30 minutes, bro. I was like, sheesh. Shawty's training.
I was like, most girls can barely make it through 2 songs. Like,
exactly, but she was going. Like, there wasn't even music, bro. There wasn't even music.
And
she was still going.
Oh, okay.
I was like, wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but
I completely agree. I think subconsciously they know what they're doing is despicable, and that's why that feeling of like shame is a good feeling. I feel like in our society nowadays, like, you know, shame, and it's funny because we started off with should you shame these, and I'm like, well, public shaming is interesting, right? Like, you wouldn't be walking down the street and say, hey, fat ass, and like use that as that's my form of shaming so that they'll lose weight, you know, even though the losing weight is the good thing. Like, you wouldn't use that form of shaming, but there is an element of shame that is like legitimate. I think that's where the desire to post on Instagram or whatever that, you know, the rapist or something, I think that's where that desire comes from, is, you know, you do want to shame people. I mean, it's fine, because shame is a great motivator. You know?
I 100% agree.
You know, but shame also like doesn't come from nowhere. So like when you're in the club and the lights come on and you like instinctively kind of scatter like cockroaches, you know, an element of that is coming from shame. And it's because like subconsciously you're kind of ashamed at what you're doing, like almost at what you're having to resort to interact with the opposite sex. You know, like it's like,
bars.
You know, like, why do I need to, this is kind of what I realized. It's like, why do I need to go to a club at 12 o'clock at night, you know, until 4 o'clock in the morning or something to meet women when I can just meet women in my normal day-to-day life.
Yeah, like
Like I don't
sometimes.
not having to go outside of, the only
Yeah,
reason dudes go to clubs is because that's where women are. If women were at clubs, dudes wouldn't go. But it's hilarious because women are all throughout your day-to-day life, but you don't interact with them there. You have to go to this special environment where they feed you a bunch of drugs, that there's a whole bar there that's just alcohol to,
poisoning.
yeah, which is like to numb you enough that you can move past your whatever it is that you're holding that is stopping you from talking to women or stopping you from talking to men. Like, I don't, it's not for me. That's
No,
all
yeah,
I'll say.
I think I agree in terms of like men wouldn't go if women didn't go, but also at the same time, like women go a lot of different places,
That's true.
But the
But men don't go to all those places.
yeah, so that's what I was gonna say. I was like the type of women that go invite a certain type of men,
Mm,
you know,
that's
and
deep.
I'm
That's
not,
deep.
I'm not saying like oh it invites rapists and sexual assaulters, whatever. No,
Yeah.
I'm just saying
The type of guys who listen to Future.
yes. There we go. That's a good way to say it. A guy who listens to Future 24/7.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing it invites. And
Women who like Meg the Stallion.
well, I know a variety of women that love Meg Thee Stallion, but I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
can
I
go to
like
that
Future.
extreme.
I like, yeah. It's
I
not,
like
but
Future. I
it's
like
it's
Meg.
the
The ones that go to the extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I feel like for dudes, maybe this is just me, but I feel like it just becomes a lot more logical. I've known a lot of guys that have been at parties, and you can tell with their eyes because eyes don't lie, bro. You can see with their eyes, they realize this isn't the environment I want to be in, right? And so it's like in my head, I'm like, so why don't you just go to the environment you want to be in? Like, let's say, for instance, as cliche as it sounds, you go to the bookstore. Bro, do you not understand how many fine girls
You're
I
right.
have found at the bookstore?
I
Bro.
dated a librarian.
You did?
Yeah.
Well, that's crazy. No, yeah,
Yeah.
but like freshman year, I pulled up on a girl in the line. I was like, we're just talking. She gave me her Snapchat. Cool. Kept it going. But like I said, it's the certain environment that you're in. If I always went to the club, I wouldn't find a sustainable woman for the rest of my like. When you hit a certain point in your age, you realize I want a woman that's gonna be sustainable for the rest of my life. You're not gonna find that in the club, bro. Same thing with the girls. You're not gonna find a man in the club. Like that's not gonna happen ever. I don't care.
It's a
who
bunch
you,
of grown little boys.
like. I don't care who you are. Like you're not gonna find that there. You might like. I've known a lot of girls, even dudes too. Like they'll be like, oh, I talked to this one girl. We met at the club or whatever, or the twerk party or whatever. We started talking. We kind of fell off though, and I was like, well, why? Like, oh, we didn't link up, so we just fell off. I was like, what do you think he was trying to do? What do you think you were trying to do? You know what I'm saying? Like you have to really evaluate the longevity of these things.
Well, that's a great point. Let's address the investment in the interaction to the length of the relationship. Like there's almost a correlation between the two.
Yeah.
Right? So if I go to the club, what's my level of investment to go to the club? Like it's nothing. Everyone goes, your question, why don't people go to the club? I mean, why don't they go to the bookstore? For the most part, it's because they're too unsure of themselves. They're too, I don't want to call people losers or anything, but they're not sure of themselves enough to like not fall into peer pressure.
Yeah.
They're like little kids. They move with the wind. They're, you know what I'm saying? They're like blades of grass or something. But and I mean, and the other reason, to be fair, is the bookstore usually isn't open Saturday night at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
So like, just socially, like if you're trying to interact with people during the night,
You
it's
go
like,
to a club.
Well, not you go to the club, but it's your options are more limited, is what
Yeah,
I'm kind of,
yeah.
But you're right. There are other things, but like I said, most people aren't sure of themselves enough to say like, no, I don't want to go out. And that's why they do, because they don't know what else to do besides this is what I'm supposed to do, right? Like I go study really hard and then go out, or I go work really hard and then I go out. Now, going back to the other point though, is like when you meet a woman at the club, right? What did it require for like both of you to come to this place? Like what she had to have been interested in certain things, right? Like she had to have been interested in maybe whatever music they're playing. Maybe she doesn't, right? That's why people go bar hopping or club hopping, whatever.
Mhm.
Like, so she might have been interested in the music. She's obviously interested in like dancing, and she's interested in like what, drinking. And you also know about her that like she occasionally stays up late at night, right? So if you guys have those things in common, all right, cool. Is that like good enough to sustain a relationship, like long term? No,
Nah.
right? But like if I meet a chick, say for instance, I've taken a bunch of yoga classes, right? Like, when I was in school, I took yoga for a year and a half, when I was in school.
Yeah.
My class was about 85% women.
Yeah.
We are, say we're like 2 months into the class, once they feel out that like, yo, I'm not a creep.
Yeah, because some guys will be creeps there, but I understand what you mean.
Yeah, like, then it's like, okay, well, now they know something that we have stuff in common. It's like, okay, well, this person is committed because he shows up to every single class. He has a friendly persona because he's interacting with the instructor and a few other people, and they seem to give him some sort of social proof. And we both are interested in yoga. And that is going to take you a lot farther in like finding a long-term relationship than meeting a woman at the club. And it's not because the club is in like there's something inherently wrong with the club. It's just about, it's the same way that if I was taking an advanced level biomechanics course, I would expect that everyone else in the class had met certain prerequisites to get into that class. When you enroll in a yoga class, and I've been doing yoga with you for 3 months, you've passed a certain number of prerequisites that might now pique my interest in asking you out. As opposed to when I go to the club, how many like the level of prerequisites is so much lower. It's like,
Yeah.
you're fine, you're throwing it back on me, you pass the benchmark, I can sleep with you.
Yeah. No,
and it's like
pretty true.
Yeah, and then it's that's how she's gonna move on to the next guy also. Like it's like she went out the next weekend. Okay, now unless she found another guy. But how long did it take her to find you in a yoga class? 3 months? Well, her level of investment in finding you as a suitable partner, it's not going to be quote unquote as easy to like replace you.
Yeah. No, I think when someone wants kind of a quick fix, kind of, I just want to meet someone right now. Yeah, like the club allows that, but you also have to understand, let's say, for instance, like the longevity
Mm.
of a relationship. The club limits conversation because there's loud music playing. I'm not sure, like, if you ever done this, like, to talk to a girl in the club. That's a little weird if you think about it, because you're like, yeah, yeah. So what's your name? Like, it's weird. Like, no one wants to hear that. I'm just trying to vibe. You know what I'm saying? So, like, in the club, it's kind of like things go, but they can give you signs like, I'm not feeling you.
Of
Right.
course.
Yeah, and you realize, all right, cool. You just back up. You back off, right? With the yoga class, though, like because of that time built, they peep who you are, and then you guys get to actually have conversation afterwards. Let's say, for instance, like right after yoga class, and then some girl like pulls up on you. You just guys talking yada yada. You set up a date, cool. Because then like, all right, this is something might be sustainable a lot more than the club scene.
Yeah. There was a girl who the first time, because I took yoga 3 times in college.
I need to take yoga.
Yeah, I recommend yoga for everyone. But anyways, the first time I took yoga, it was maybe 2 months into the class. And you realize like 2 months into the class, there's about 30 people and 4 guys, and one is me, one is my roommate, and the other 2 are gay.
So it limits very much.
Yeah, so but maybe like 3 months into the class, I remember there was one girl in there, like she came and she started talking to me like after class, and like it took me a minute, but I was like, oh wait, like she's kind of hitting on me. And like
If just as a frame of reference, if any girl pulls up on you and starts conversation, I'm not saying, oh, all the time they're hitting on you, but there's a good chance Shawty's hitting on you. Like, there's no reason why she wouldn't pull up on you for a reason, you know?
I generally agree. I mean, we have to give women a little bit of an out. Like sometimes they have to, and they're
No,
gonna
yeah,
be like,
of course.
hey, like, where's the bathroom? And in your mind, you're like, Yeah, she's spitting games. She over here
Nah,
asking me where's the bathroom.
Nah. Some dudes get like really into their mental. Nah, bro. Like,
Yeah,
you
but
can tell.
I
You can
understand.
tell.
Yeah, no, I mean, and look, to be fair, like at this time, I'm telling you, I'm like 19 years old. You know, so
Oh, okay.
this isn't yesterday. Like,
It's a while back.
yeah. You know, like I said, I took yoga 3 times in college, so this is the first time I took it.
Gotcha.
And she came and she talked to me after class. She ended up being super dope girl, super chill. Nothing really ever came out of like, you know, our interaction or relationship like of substance, but like she was a really cool girl. You know what I'm saying? And like in a different environment, I would have never even got to talking to her because the circumstances wouldn't have been correct. So I think this kind of leads me to like something else is a lot of guys ask, I feel like, where do you find women, or like how do you find like suitable women to date?
Everywhere.
Right? Like,
bro, like,
I
it's
really
not
don't
hard.
understand. I'm like, yo, just open your eyes. Like, what do you mean? Like half of people you meet should be a woman. Like
Yeah, like,
decide which
literally-
ones you find physically attractive, you know, and within those, now you start looking for like certain qualities. Like,
Yeah, no, literally. Well, I think what it is for dudes a lot of times, like I remember I was talking to one of my friends and I was like, yo, bro, why don't you just go like over to this place and just try to find a girl? He's like, to be honest, most times you'll find a girl is either work, school, or maybe a random like moment kind of thing. But if you're not like diligently, I guess you could say, searching, it's not really gonna pop up on your radar, if that makes sense. But I think just over time, what I've learned is that like it's very natural for you to find a girl anywhere. It doesn't have to be necessarily your interest. Like I remember I went to this was actually on my birthday. There was an art gala, but there's an art show before. I was talking to everyone. The room in there was crazy energy. To me, I was just genuinely like just trying to get to know people and talk to them. Maybe to the girl's perspective, it's like, oh, this dude kind of hitting on me. You know what I'm saying? But because it's natural just to talk to girls like that, so it's like I feel with a lot of dudes, even I think everyone really should, is just go out more and take the chance to talk. It doesn't have to be, oh, I'm going rock climbing, whatever it is, and I'm gonna meet my soulmate there, and you know, bro, just talk to people because you never know who can lead you to a connection, a relationship, or a lifelong friend. You know, it's different.
I completely agree. I think it's more of an issue of people not wanting to talk to strangers as opposed to there not being any options. You know, there's, oh gosh, you know, there's so many gorgeous women that I see like on a daily basis. There are options out there, but you know, it's like, I get the fact of if you're working, and it's almost interesting to say that because a rule that I had for a long time is like I did not talk to any girls that I worked with. I did not talk to any girls that I ever was in a class with. Like if we were in the same course, we were taking the same course, or we were in the same class in school, it was like a hard rule for me. Like I'm not gonna date you, and like if I worked with you, I'm not gonna date you. And like I upheld those rules like 98% of the time. There was a couple that slipped through the cracks.
Damn, Daniel.
Couple that slipped through the cracks, but I had that rule for a long time because I wanted to focus on work. You know, like when I'm at work, I wanted to work. I didn't want to be distracted by this potential relationship with this girl at work. Or if I was in class, I wanted to learn the materials. I wanted to actually do this class. So I wasn't going to distract myself or allow myself, better put, to be distracted by entertaining a relationship with someone from the class. I'm just here to do work. I'm just here to do school.
Yeah.
And I found women in other areas of my life. So that forced me to find hobbies, because if you're 18, 19, whatever years old, like, and I'm working, you know, a lot, and I'm in school full time, it's like, where is the time? 90 some percent of people probably find their partners like at work or at school.
Yeah.
So, or at least in close proximity to like those environments, because we spend so much of our day there, you know? So where then do you find potential romantic partners? In your hobbies, you know, because that's the only other thing that you're really, you know, investing time into.
So what if clubbing is your hobby? Or parties are your hobby?
Well, then maybe you need to grow up. I mean, look. I'm not gonna knock your lifestyle. I just know what's for me and what's not for me, and that's
Mm.
not for me. I did it. I've done it. I was out there 3 days a week religiously. Thursday through Sunday or Saturday, or I don't
You're
know.
better than me, bro. Oh my god, I hated going out.
No, I was that's what I did. That's how I met women, like
Oh
women.
yeah, yeah.
So like that's what I did because I thought the point of college was to meet women in between going to class. So that was the way I approached it in the
That's how I
beginning.
approached it freshman year.
Yeah,
It
that's how I
worked.
approached it in the beginning too. Yeah, it's. I'm not saying it didn't work for me either. I'm just
Yeah.
saying that I realized it wasn't a sustainable
Mm.
thing for me. So I had to reevaluate my values, figure out what was important for me, and then like reboot myself so that I can move in accordance with my values. You know,
Yeah,
the
definitely.
the meeting people in your hobbies is like, I mean, that rule, to be completely honest with you, is not a hard rule for me anymore. Like I've kind of relaxed it in certain ways, and I do think that because now I'm more so like, all right, if an opportunity arises, like I'll just evaluate it in that moment and then like kind of move accordingly. But bro, I mean, I can't name how many classes. Gosh, I was in college. So many. I would take a class in college, and like first, second week, I notice a chick, and I'm like, wow, okay, I have to wait until, or like over the course of the class period, it would be like one chick that I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna talk to you, and
And I'm gonna
I
talk
would
to you.
and I would literally wait until like the last week of the class, and then I would be like, hey, you know, my name is Luffy, blah, blah, blah. I want to introduce myself. I just didn't want to talk while we were in class because, I just want to focus on the class and stuff. It worked 8 out of 10 times, but it also didn't work in the long term because I wasn't living in the moment in a certain way, also. That's why I'm like trying to become a little bit, I guess, more flexible in that regard, like finding the balance between if I'm at work, I'm working and living in the moment. So
Yeah.
I haven't found it yet. It's a work in progress, but yeah.
No, yeah, that's fair. I somewhat agree with you in terms of the like me personally, I don't think I've ever been at a class or whatever and I'm trying to think. I don't think so. I don't think there was like a girl or so I'm like, "Oh, I want to talk to her." And I talked to her. It was kind of just like you said, I'm just there to do my work and I'm leaving. Unless we have a project together or it's a difficult class and you're helping me. Otherwise, I'm not really gonna talk to you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? At work, I just keep it kind of casual. Like I'm friendly, just talk to everybody. But I guess in terms of how I found romantic partners, it was kind of just at a random. Like it's either you slide in someone's DMs, and then surprisingly, they like you back, and you're like, oh, cool, and you keep it going, or like you go to an event and you meet a girl, and you guys just kind of hit it off,
Mm.
and then you start talking. But I've never really had um, even a moment really where like after the class or even during that class semester where I was like trying to holler at a girl, whatever it is.
I always felt like it was just a bad idea because it's like I'm
You're
there to,
mixing work
yeah,
with
like,
pleasure.
yeah, exactly. Like I'm here to work, so it's like I'm not here to play around.
Yeah.
I can do that any other time. And like, to be fair though, that's part of the reason how I gave myself an out in like pursuing romantic relationships for a while. But then, like I told you, once I started developing a lot more hobbies and then finding women through those hobbies. And the other thing though, too, like to be completely honest with you, my hobbies by far are dominated by women. Like there's very few of my hobbies, which is great.
Yeah.
There's very few of my hobbies that are like male dominated, like maybe like I like weightlifting, so like maybe that's one of them, or like certain sports that I like. But think about like yoga. I'm really into yoga, cooking. Like I took cooking from when I was in middle school.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, like I took home economics when I was in middle school. Like I think twice. I might have taken it twice in middle school. Like I'm there's just a lot of hobbies that I like sewing and like hands gardening and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
doing a lot of I don't know, more feminine, more things
I
that
wouldn't even consider
I
it
wouldn't
feminine.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
even consider it feminine. It's just things that women tend
To
to
do.
more
Yeah.
often. Like for instance, even when I was in school, I would take classes on education, 80% of the
of
room
girls.
is girls. You know, I would take a class on development or something. I'd be the only guy in the class. Like, there's certain areas, you know what I'm saying, where it's just it tends towards more one, and like I'm thankful for that.
Yeah.
Because within my hobbies, then it makes it easy because then it's like, and like I said, I already know that we have that one shared interest as well. You know,
Yeah.
of that hobby that we're doing, and usually one hobby is a pretty good indication of some other aspects of your life as well falling in line with mine.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think majority of my hobbies are like quote unquote feminine or whatever it is, like
Woman dominated.
or woman
Yeah,
dominated,
yeah,
whatever you
yeah.
want to call it.
Yeah, yeah,
All
whatever.
stupid stuff.
Yeah. Semantics.
Yeah, but like I like to read a lot. I like meditating, the spirituality sense, and it's crazy because I didn't realize this, but like a lot of girls love spirituality.
Yeah.
Like crazy amount, but I didn't realize that.
It's like a woman dominated thing.
Yeah, yeah, I didn't know that.
Guys don't be with that foo-foo.
No. They're like, nah, I don't do none of that.
They're like, Astro what?
No, yeah. So like, I remember like, I forgot one time I just mentioned it like just casually. I was like, oh yeah, you know, I meditated this morning, and like two of the girls like, you meditate?
Right,
I was
bro.
like,
I'm like,
yeah, like why?
It's
like,
shocking.
like, oh my god, do you like chakras? And they just go on a ramble conversation. I'm like, I didn't think, because in my mind I'm like, meditation is just something that everyone should try to implement because it's something that's very nice to have to slow yourself down and be at a pace.
I agree.
But I just didn't know that it was a woman dominated thing. So it's crazy that we both have had very similar experiences just in two different fields in a way, which is a great way to kind of like end the episode, which is like the conclusion is like, hey man, if you're trying to find a suitable woman, just kind of go out where you like.
Yeah, cosign, you know. I guess that's the best way to wrap it up is find your hobbies in life and do them, and then find women through there.
Yeah.
And vice versa for the women.
Yeah, I like that. All right, yeah. Well, this has been Ahmed.
And this is Luffy.
And this has been the Brotherly Love Podcast. Thank you guys so much.